Oh yes, many. My uncle, the Grand Duke Sergei. He is an elevator man at Macy's, a very nice man. Then there is my cousin, Prince Alexis. He will not speak to the rest of us because he works at Hattie Carnegie. He is in ladies' underwear.
When he was selling hot dogs at Coney Island, he was willing to talk to you.
Kolenkhof, our time is coming. My sister, Natasha, is studying to be a manicurist. Uncle Sergei, they promised to make floorwalker, and next month, I get transferred to the 5th Avenue Childs. From there, it is only a step to Schroff's, and then we will see what Prince Alexis says.
I think you've got him.
You are telling me?
Tell me, Your Highness, did you know the Tsar? Personally, I mean?
Of course. He was my cousin. It was terrible what happened, but perhaps it was for the best. Where could he get a job now?
Pravda, pravda. That is true.
And poor relations are poor relations. It is the same in every family. My cousin, the King of Sweden, he was very nice to us for about 10 years. Every once in a while he would send a money order. But then he said, I just could not go on. I'm not doing so well myself. I do not blame him.
Oh, no, of course not. Oh, wow. Oh, well, I better check on him. Oh, no, excuse me, just a moment.
So, Grand Duchess, is it true what they say about, Rasputin?
Everyone wants to know about Rasputin. Yes, my dear sir, it is true. And how?
Oh, you don't say.
Your Highness, we have to watch the time.
Yes, I must not be late. The manager does not like me. He is a communist.
Well, we'll hurry things up. Essie, why don't you go into the kitchen and see if you can help Rheba with anything?
I will help too. I'm a very good cook.
But Your Highness, not on your day off.
I do not mind. Where is your kitchen?
It's right through here. But you're the guest of honor, Your Highness.
But I love to cook. Come, Kolenkhof. If they've got sour cream and pot cheese, I will make you some blintzes.
Ah, blintzes. Come, Pavlova, we will show you something.
Say, the Grand Duchess is really something, isn't she? Hey, Duchess, can I help?
She's got a wonderful face for a mask, hasn't she?
Yes, she's a very nice woman, especially considering she's a Grand Duchess.
It's wonderful what some people go through, and still remain kind of gay, too.
She made me forget about everything for a minute.
I'd better call that cab, I suppose.
Oh, no, wait a minute, Paul. Here they are. Maybe Tony has... will you go up and bring down my bag, please?
Don't you do it, Ed.
Ed, please.
All right, Ed. Bring it down. Do you know that you've got the stubbornest daughter in all 48 states?
That must be the cab.
Well, if it is, it's certainly wonderful service.
Alice, is Tony here?
Yes, he is, Mr. Kirby. Come right in.
How do you do?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Forgive my intruding. Tony, I want you to come home with me. Your mother is very upset.
Very well, Father. Goodbye, Alice.
Bye, Tony.
I need hardly say that this is as painful to Mrs. Kirby and myself as it is to you people. I'm sorry, but I'm sure you understand.
Well, yes, but in a way, no. Now, Mr. Kirby, I'm not the type of person who tries to run other people's lives, but the fact is that these two young people just don't have as much sense as, say, you and I have.
Grandpa, will you please not do this?
Oh, now, I'm just talking to Mr. Kirby. A cat can look at a king, can't he?
Do you want me to do that for you, Alice? No, thank you, Mother.
You've got quite a bit before the train goes, Alice.
Hello, yes, will you send the cab to 761 Claremont? Yes, right away, please. Yes, that's right, thank you.
Alice?
Father!
Are you ready, Tony?
Now, Mr. Kirby, I suppose after last night you think this family is kind of crazy.
No, I would not say that, although I'm not accustomed to going out to dinner and spending the night in jail.
Well, now you have to remember, you came on the wrong night. Now, tonight... Now tonight, I'll bet that nothing like that will happen at all. Maybe.
Mr. Vanderhof, it was not merely just last night that convinced Mrs. Kirby and myself that this engagement would be unwise.
Father, I can handle my own affairs. Alice, the last time, will you marry me?
No, Tony, your father's right.
No, he isn't.
Now, Alice, you're in love with this boy and you're not marrying him because we're the type of people we are.
Grandpa.
Well, I know. You think the two families won't get along, but maybe we won't. And who says they're right and we're not?
I never said that. I only feel...
Well, what I feel is that Tony's too nice a boy to wake up 20 years from now with nothing in his life but stocks and bonds.
How's that?
Yes, mixed up and unhappy, the way you are.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Vanderhof. I am a very happy man.
Are you?
Certainly I am.
I don't think so. Where do you think you get all your indigestion from? Happiness? No, sir. You get it because you spend your time in doing things you don't want to do.
I don't do anything I don't want to do.
Well, yes, you do. Just last night, that you were telling me that at the end of a week in Wall Street, you were pretty near crazy. Why do you keep on doing it?
Why do I keep on? Why, that's my business. A man can't give up his business.
Well, why not? You've got all the money you need. You know you can't take it with you.
That's a very easy thing to say, Mr. Vanderhof, but I have spent my entire life building up my business.
Yeah, and what's it got you? Same kind of dinners at night, same kind of mail in the morning, same kind of business deals, same indigestion. Don't you think there ought to be something more, Mr. Kirby? Don't you think you wanted something more when you started out? I think you're missing something.
I am not aware of missing anything.
I wasn't either, until I quit. I used to get down to that office at 9 o'clock every morning, no matter how I felt. I used to lay awake at night and fear that I wouldn't get that business deal. I used to worry about the world, too. Wonder if Cleveland or Blaine would become president. Seemed awful important at the time, but who really cares now? What I'm trying to say, Mr. Kirby, is that I've had 35 years that nobody can take away from me. See?
Yes, I do see. And it's a very dangerous philosophy, Mr. Vanderhof. It's un-American, and it's exactly why I'm opposed to this marriage. I don't want Tony to come under its influence.
Well, what's the matter with it, Father?
Matter with it? Why, it's downright communism. That's what it is.
You didn't always think so.
I most certainly did. What are you talking about?
I'll tell you what I'm talking about. You didn't always think so, because there was a time where you wanted to be a trapeze artist.
Why, don't be an idiot, Tony.
Oh, yes, you did. I came across those letters you wrote to Grandfather. Do you remember those?
No! How dare you read those letters? How dare you?
Why, isn't that wonderful? Did you wear tights, Mr. Kirby?
Certainly not. The whole thing is absurd. I was 14 years old at the time.
Yes, but at 18 you wanted to be a saxophone player, didn't you?
Tony.
And at 21 you ran away from home because your father wanted you to go into the business.
Well, well, well.
I may have had silly notions in my youth, but thank God my father knocked them out of me. I went into the business and forgot about them.
Not entirely. There's still a saxophone in the back of your clothes closet, isn't there?
There is?
Tony, we'll discuss this later.
No. I want to talk about this now. I think Mr. Vanderhof is right. Dead right. I've always hated that office, and I just can't go on with it. And I'll tell you something else. I didn't make a mistake last night. I knew it was the wrong night. I brought you here on purpose.
Tony! Well, for heaven's
Because
sake.
I wanted to wake you up. I wanted you to see a real family, as they really were. A family that loved and understood each other. You don't understand me. You haven't had time. Well, I'm not going to make your mistake. I'm clearing out.
Clearing out? What do you mean?
I mean, I'm not going to be pushed into the business just because I'm your son. I'm getting out while there's still time.
But Tony, what are you going to do?
I don't know, maybe I'll be a bricklayer. But at least I'll be doing something I want to do.
Oh, that must be the cab.
Ed, would you tell him to wait a minute? Do you mind, Alice? Now, Mr. Kirby, I think Tony is going through just what you and I did at his age. I think if you listen hard enough, you can hear yourself saying the same things you said to your father some 25 years ago. We all did it, and we were right. How many of us would be willing to settle for what we eventually get? Remember all those plans we had? Now what happened to them? Don't you think there ought to be something more? Now what I'm trying to say, Mr. Kirby, is that before they clear out that closet of yours, I think I'd get in a few good hours on that saxophone.
I beg your pardon, but before I make the blintzes, how many will there be for dinner?
I'm sorry. The Grand Duchess Olga Katrina, Mr. Anthony Kirby, and Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr. The Grand Duchess Olga Katrina. How's that?
How do you do? Before I make the blintzes, how many will there be to dinner?
Oh, I'd make quite a stack of them, Your Highness. But you never can know.
Good. The Tsar always said to me, Olga, do not be stingy with the blintzes.
Who did you say that was, Mr. Vanderhof?
Your Royal Highness, Olga Katrina. She's making our dinner.
Oh.
And speaking of dinner, why don't you and Tony both stay?
How about it, Father? I was saying.
We've got all that food out there we were going to eat last night. I mean, tonight.
Why, if you'd care to, Tony, I'd like to. Very much.
Now, if Alice will call away that cab, Mr. Vanderhof.
How about it, Alice? It's going to be a mighty fine crowd. What do you say? Why don't you stay?
Mr. Kirby. Tony. Tony.
Darling.
Grandpa, you're wonderful.
I've been telling you that for years.
Grandpa, here's a letter for you. It was in the icebox.
Now, who is it? Oh, the United States government again.
How
see
do you
what
do,
they want.
Mr. Kirby?
How do you do?
Won't you step into the office, Miss Sycamore? I'd like to do a little dictating.
Oh, I better go tell that cab.
Well, well, well.
What is it, Grandpa?
The United States government apologizes. It seemed I died 8 years ago.
Why, Grandpa, what do they mean?
Do you remember our old milkman, Charlie, who was buried under my name?
Yes.
Well, I just told the government that I was Martin Vanderhof Jr. So, they apologize and I may even get a refund.
Grandpa, you're an old crook.
Yeah, well, sure.
Pardon me, how did you say you escaped income tax, Mr. Vanderhof?
Tonight, my friends. Tonight, my friends, you are going to eat.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Fine, fine. Glad to see you.
What has happened? He's relaxing. Play something, Ed.
Everything will be ready in a minute. You can sit down.
Oh, come on, everybody. Dinner's ready. Come on, Mr. Kirby.
Yes, yes, I'm coming.
Oh, Essie, stop dancing and come to dinner.
You will like Russian food, Mr. Kirby.
Oh, but you must be careful of your indigestion.
Indigestion? Nonsense. I haven't any indigestion.
Oh, Miss Sycamore, how was your trip to the Adirondacks?
Shut your face, Mr. Kirby.
In Russia, when they sit down to dinner,
Now, quiet, everybody, quiet. We want to say thanks once more for everything you've done for us. Alice is going to marry Tony, and it looks like they're going to be very happy. Of course, all the fireworks blew up, but that was Mr. Depinna's fault, not yours. Of course, we've all got our health, and as far as anything else is concerned, we'll leave it to you. Thank you.
oh, Grandpa, I've heard from my friend in Siberia.
Like
He has
roast
escaped
goose,
again.
Mr. Kirby.
Save the dinner
We're
for
having
me.
roast goose for dinner.
Like it? Why, it's my favorite dish.
I'm going to dance for you later, Mr. Kirby. I've got a new mazurka.
I've written some special music for you. Tell me, Mr. Kirby, what do you think of the Securities Commission?
Oh, Mr. Depinna, we've got to start thinking about next year's fireworks.
Well, Mr. Kirby, here's to the Adirondacks.
And a very good thing, too.